ambassador here who is involved in more or less similar areas. Marielle is someone that's very passionate about advancing the field of environmental stewardship and sustainability within the corporate world and within public policy. Hailing from the USA, New York, she sees herself as being involved at this stage in energy provision at the lower end, and she is working for Accenture in their non-profit division, and she believes that she's making a great difference there. For the past 2 years, she has worked on the Sustainable Energy for All initiative at the United Nations. Aimed at increasing energy access and sustainable energy development globally, the initiative has 3 core objectives to be achieved by 2030. First is ensuring universal access to modern energy services. Secondly, doubling the global rate of improvement in energy efficiency. And lastly, doubling the share of renewable energy in the global energy mix. And Marielle is going to share a talk with us around the new model for international sustainability that she's been working on, as well as the transfer of money issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Miller, for the introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. For the 1.3 billion people on the planet that do not have access to electricity and the 2.4 billion people that do not have access to clean cooking solutions, a typical day might look like this, especially if you are a woman. You wake to cook breakfast for your family over a charcoal fireplace that billows smoke into your home. Your children may or may not attend school, depending on whether or not you need them to help and whether it's affordable. While your husband leaves to spend most of his day farming or mining, you spend your day doing back-breaking work, walking miles to fetch water and firewood. While walking these long distances, you run the risk of being raped by men you encounter. You and your children suffer from a persistent cough due to the smoke from cooking indoors. Now imagine this woman could obtain access to a cook stove that burns liquid petroleum gas. The task of cooking for her family becomes immediately easier and cleaner. Now imagine she gains light through a solar lantern project or even electricity through a mini-grid. This woman can now allow her children to study during the evening and can power some small devices, possibly a refrigerator, to make life easier. She might even be able to free up enough time in her day to get a job and join the local economy. Energy is the golden thread that connects economic growth, social equity, and environmental sustainability. These were the words of UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon when he launched the Sustainable Energy for All initiative in 2011. The first initiative of its kind with the goals of achieving universal access to energy, doubling the rate of energy efficiency, and doubling the amount of renewable energy used by 2030, Sustainable Energy for All is the first time in the history of the UN that all 192 member countries have passed a General Assembly resolution on energy, one of the most contentious issues our world faces today. In my role at Accenture, I've been involved with Sustainable Energy for All since its inception. During the first year, we interviewed chief sustainability officers at over 70 Fortune 500 companies across 19 industries to uncover the role of the private sector in providing access to energy, improving energy efficiency, and increasing renewable energy megawatts. When our reports were delivered, we had mobilized over 350 commitments from the private sector to take action towards achieving these energy goals. During the second year, my team and I helped design a new and unique public-private partnership model meant to transform the way that the UN approaches international sustainable development. Why was a new model necessary? In the old model, rich countries give money in an uncoordinated way to developing countries based on certain priorities. Country X is a strategic ally, country Y has a high infant mortality rate, et cetera, et cetera. Money is then transferred with little instructions for implementation and hardly any participation from the private sector. This means that implementation is not assured, corruption is possible, and the expertise of the private sector is not used. In the new model, the UN, through Sustainable Energy for All, will mobilize pools of funds and will facilitate the transfer of money alongside technical assistance. In this case, technical assistance takes the form of national energy action plans for electrification and clean cook stoves, which contain specific projects, investment prospectuses, and private sector suggestions. In short, the new model coordinates global investment in energy access and increases the efficacy of dollars spent. I have recently taken a new role and joined the Energy Access for Development Impact team at Accenture. This team services clients engaged in developing small and large-scale energy projects within the new paradigm of international sustainable development. To make change and create a sustainable future for all, I know we must forge greater collaboration between private businesses and governing organizations. I have learned that forging these relationships takes patience with the old system and a vision for the future. As young leaders, we must envision how we see our business happening in the future and then make it happen. I bring this vision to my new job every day, and I encourage all of you to see the potential in what can be and say it out loud in your meetings, interviews, and on a daily basis. We are responsible for the new way. Once an idea is brought into the world, it cannot be erased. Thank you.
Very inspirational stuff there by Marielle Fillit. Our next two delegates come from Australia and New Zealand, respectively. First up, Sarah is passionate about sustainable development, gender equality, and leadership. She contributes to a local women's business networking group for women that own small businesses.